comes Campbellsville. King back to Evans! What a two-handed block!
Makes 2 minutes, then she finishes!
Score from third, he's going to, sliding safe!
Welcome into Tiger Nation Weekly. I'm your host, Zach Clements. We feature men's basketball this week. We have a 3-segment interview with head coach Brent Vernon. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing good, Zach. How you doing?
Good. 1 day away. We're officially 1 day away from your first game. How does that feel?
It's good. It's exciting. I mean, it's something that we've been preparing for now, honestly, since the shutdown in March. It's just, we didn't know if we'd get to this point, and we've been very fortunate to get to this point. Our guys have done a good job on the floor, off the floor, to handle their business and the protocols set forth. So we're just excited to get out there tomorrow.
So you went through a couple of weeks of preseason training. How's that been?
It's been good. Our guys have really competed well with each other. They've pushed each other, and it's something that as coaches, we haven't really had to encourage them to do it. Our chemistry has been really well, and they're holding each other accountable, which is a sign of something that can be promising down the road.
Is there some things that you've seen from last year coming into this year, some differences? What have you been happy with?
Our returners and their leadership. Last year was a really odd year. Our chemistry never really got on sync, and you had some small adversity stuff within the team. Never too overblown, but it was always on the edge, it seemed like. And this year we haven't seen it, and it started with our returners. They set the tone from day one about how we want to approach the season. And because of how they've started that, everybody has really jumped on board, and because of that, we've seen a lot of good days.
So in the midst of the pandemic, we got shut down in March, right before your championship run. How does it feel to get these guys finally back on campus?
It's great, and for us, it was a little bit of a disappointing season, and we did not have the luxury of going to the national tournament, even though we thought we should have. A team got in, and we thought it could have easily been us, but we were left out, and that's part of it. And our guys, as soon as that happened, you saw them ready to get straight to work. They were disappointed, which was good to see, but they were ready to get in and start lifting weights and start doing the things that we needed to do to prepare. And right when we were about to start that, everything shut down and sent home. So this summer, our guys had a tough task in front of them. Some guys were fortunate enough to be able to find places to go and maybe get in a gym or a weight room, and others were unfortunate and they had no way to do any of that. So some guys were for 5 months doing nothing, and once they got to campus, they were back starting. So that was the biggest thing, being able to get them back, get in the gym, and make them just have a little bit of normal life back, which we haven't had for some time.
Look forward to the season now. You scheduled 4 non-conference games before an action-packed Mid-South Conference schedule. What are the importance of these non-conference games?
It's huge. With the pandemic, we had a full 30-game schedule, and then because of certain teams not being able to play first semester or even the year, we dropped some games. So we have 4 prior to conference, and then after we have 2 conference games, we have 2 more non-conference. So we get 28 games, which is really good. Very few teams have a full schedule. Those 4 games are going to be really big for us going into Cumberland's and Pikeville to open conference. We can tweak some things. We can look at different lineups, really see what works. In the past, we've had 12 or 14 games to be able to do it. This year, it's sort of in super speed mode, 4 games to really get a lot of things fine-tuned for conference play. So it's going to be a little more of the important factor, and every game is even more important now because in the Mid-South Conference, having 22 conference games, there's no easy night. So we need to try to get off on a good start with some non-conference wins.
In these non-conference games, is this something you might switch up the lineups quite a bit? Are you going to stick to the basics, maybe hit on the plays a little bit?
It'll definitely be a little more basic than normal because of everything. A 3 weeks ago, shut down for a week throughout the athletic department. So we are definitely a little bit behind. Our guys are working hard to get back caught up. We will be basic, and we don't want to show too much going into conference. At the same time, will we tweak some things? Probably, but I don't like to tweak too much. If something is working well, we're going to go with it. And then as things happen, if we see something here and there, obviously we will. But there's a lot of different interchangeable parts within this team that I'm excited about.
The Mid-South Conference recently added Bethel, Martin Methodist, and Freed-Hardman. Speak on those teams a little bit.
It's hard. People always talk to me about other teams, and I don't know tons about them. We've played each of them once since I've been a head coach, but that's it. And I truly believe there's always so much roster turnover. I never look ahead. I think all of them were finished top half of their leagues last year. They were voted sort of bottom tier of our league this year, and I don't think it's anything but we just don't know enough about them. If they're top half in all their leagues and they were to finish bottom 2 or 3 in ours, that just shows you how strong our league truly is. They're going to beat a lot of teams. There's not going to be any easy wins, and we've got to really make sure that we're on cue. Martin Methodist, they've been to the national tournament. Bethel, Freed, they have all been to the national tournament before. So every night, again, it's just going to be a battle.
A battle every night, and you also bring back Cumberland's, Georgetown, Lindsay, all the typical teams. How are you going to be good this season in such a packed Mid-South Conference?
Well, you got to be able to defend and rebound, and then it just goes to, our staff was talking, we don't know what a good conference record is now. 22 games, if you get over 500, I think you're really accomplishing a lot, but then you sit there and think about it, over 500 is 13-11, or I'm sorry, can't do math, what is it here? 12-10 actually. So with that going on, you don't want 10 losses in conference, but at the same time, if you're above that number, I think you've done a really good job. So we're shooting for higher than that, but I think if you do that, you're going to be fighting for a top 4 spot. And
some of the things you always mention are defending your home court, and then you try to steal a couple of games on the road. Is that still the plan?
It is, and you're not going to probably be able to go perfect at home. If you do, that's great. But we always say if you win on the road, to us, it's like winning 2 games. It's so hard when every team is so good. It's so hard to win on the road. It'll be interesting this year. We have no fans, and I think it'll definitely be a factor. I think Powell is one of the toughest places in the league to play. Our fans do a great job every year of making it difficult on the opponents. So first semester we don't have that. We're really hoping by second semester to be able to bring some people back in. I don't even know what all the other conferences opponents are doing, but if we have to go and no visiting fans are allowed and they have students, it's always just going to be tough. So anytime you can win on the road, it's just an added bonus.
With these new teams coming into the Mid-South Conference, you now get 2 national tournament automatic qualifiers. Does that help you all?
It definitely does. With the tournament moving to 64 teams, you don't really understand this first year how everything's going to work. Having 2 automatic bids is huge. I still think we will get 4 teams, personally. I think our league is that good and deserving of that. But I do think maybe the years of 5 or 6 teams is very few now. The RPI comes into the factor, and we've never had that before. So it's going to be interesting to see. Playing in what I believe is the best conference in America, our RPI should be up 22 games against teams that are really good. We've also got Dalton State, who's finished the year top 15 last year, Union College, who is top 25 now and won a national championship Division II 3 or 4 years ago, IU Southeast, who has been to the national tournament many times. So our non-conference schedule is very good. So I believe we should have a very good RPI, and hopefully if we take care of business, it could help us get into the field of 64.
So we talked about some new additions to the Mid-South Conference. Now a new tournament style. You now have 64 teams in the national tournament. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's unknown. We go from 32 teams in Kansas City to 64. You have 16 regions of 4 teams, and every region winner now advances to Kansas City. I'm old school in this factor. I've been around NAIA basketball since the day I was born, and the tradition is 32 teams. It's going to be odd. It's different. I hope there's a time where we go back to 32 teams out in Kansas City, because our motto has always been the toughest tournament to win, 5 games in 7 days. Well, it changes now. When it comes to this stuff, I'm a historian. I really like it, and I hope we go back to that. So it's going to be odd. It's going to be different. The chances of getting to Kansas City has always been pretty good. And I think now it becomes a lot less good. I mean, you have to really, there's a side of luck to it. You don't know what teams are going to be in your region, and then you just got to go and perform on the biggest stage to get to Kansas City.
And then imagine a national tournament with no fans. It's going to be really different.
It is, and I don't even know if the NAIA has decided that yet. Maybe they have. We don't even look to that so much. But if we go out there and it's like that, it'll be odd, because getting to Municipal and seeing all those guys who have been coming to the tournament for 30 and 40 years, it's something that you just enjoy to see. But, day at a time, and hopefully things continue to get better and fans are being brought back in.
So the Mid-South Conference has a lot of great teams and also a lot of great coaches, including yourself. Is there one team across the Mid-South Conference you look forward to playing?
I always look forward to playing Cumberland's, where I graduated. My family obviously has tons of history there, going back to my dad coaching. Me and my brother both played there. I met my wife there, and she played there. Dad and wife are both in the Hall of Fame there. I played for Coach Butcher. To me, in our league, he's the best coach in the league. He's been in it the longest, and I always like to compete against the best. So it's a chess match. It's a tough game to play because it's someone who's very close to me, but I always think that if I can compete with him, I can compete with anyone. So it's always a fun game, even though it's a tough game, but that's the one I truly look forward to.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will look at the new additions to Tiger basketball. You're following Tiger Nation Weekly.
You know, being in athletics, we want to win, but we want to do it in a way that honors God, our family, and the university, and we also want to build character along that path. But most importantly, you know, the kids are here to compete, but they're here to get an education, so we want them to graduate. We want them to finish and complete what they came here to do. And hopefully what we do is give them a chance to play and compete, at the same time achieve their goals spiritually, academically, and socially. So it's a large undertaking when we have about 800 athletes, but we're very committed to making sure that we do what we can do to help them achieve their degree. There's such a great family atmosphere here. You know, it's a college town. This community is built around Kalamazoo University, and everybody pours into it. They invest in these kids that come here. And on campus, you'll always see people who are very much friendly. They are available. They want to see kids, like I said, complete what they came here to do. And they do a great job of representing God in the way that we treat others. So I think that, you know, I used to always say when I was recruiting, if you come on the campus will sell itself. It's a great place to be and great people. And I have two grown children who both are alumni of Campbellsville from undergraduate, graduate degrees and all. And I gave my children a chance to go anywhere they wanted to go. I'm an alumni here. My wife is, my mother and father, both my sisters, their whole families. And so I'm extremely biased. But what I do know is that I believe if you choose Campbellsville, you will choose the right spot. This place is all about what they say they are. We want you to find your calling. And what we do is hopefully guide you to that and then equip you to fulfill that. And I just don't think there's any place better. And again, I'm very biased, but again, I don't apologize for trying to sell what we have here because I'm tremendously invested and I believe in it. I would not be here if I did not think this was absolutely the best school that you could possibly be a part of and attend. And I'm very thankful that I'm a part of it.
Welcome back into Tiger Nation Weekly. We look at the new additions to Tiger basketball this season. Coach, you bring in 7 new guys. How's that been?
It's been really good. I enjoy these guys. They've all come in with the right attitude. They're hungry. They're willing to learn. They've really gelled well with our group, and because of that, it'll give us a chance down the road.
So we'll go down the roster here. First off is Ross Ryan, a junior from Ohio. He's 6'9", 230. What's it like having him?
It's good. One, we needed to get a bigger post presence than what we had last year. Our teams have typically done well, especially once I've been a head coach, when I've had a big. You go back to Andrew Smith, we had a lot of success with those guys. And now having Ross in there, someone who he's very unique. He's sort of an old school 5-man. He can really pass the ball. He can jump hook it. He can score different ways. He sees the game a different way than a lot of things, but he can still step out and shoot the ball at times. So it's good to have him. He played in the best Division II league last year, which was very good. He saw a lot of competition. Played as a freshman in Division I, so he's been around. He knows what to expect, and I think as the year goes on, he'll be more and more comfortable with us.
When recruiting him, was there a couple of different aspects or a part of his game that you really liked?
Just watching him, and one, playing in the league he played in because of how good it was, but you could see in the film we watched his skill level. He could face up and score it. He could shoot it, and then he passed the ball well as a big, which is very hard to do. And because of that, we just thought he brought a unique skill set to us and one that we could really be beneficial with.
Brayton Sebastian is a local kid from Garrett County High School, a true freshman. How's he been?
He's been great from day one as a freshman. And you know, you always worry about the transition from high school to college, and there's been very little. A little bit of the speed of the game, but you know, he's 6'5", he's a stronger kid for a high school, for a college freshman. They did a great job with him in high school. Could really score the ball in high school, and he'll be able to do that at the college level, but it'll take time to adjust and figure things out. But we were a little concerned about where he would be at defensively coming in, but he really has done a good job. He competes hard defensively on the ball. Off the ball, he's very smart and knows to be in the right place, and that takes care of a lot of things. I think he's got a chance to have a special 4 years.
And this year, his freshman year, is there potential he gets put in some scenarios?
I think he'll have a chance to knock in the starting lineup, honestly. He's right there on it. You know, it's hard to put a freshman in that spot. Sometimes you want to make sure that they're comfortable with it. In practices, when we've had him in with that first group, he's done a really nice job. Our guys trust him, and that says a lot about him, because when they've been here such a short time, to get the trust of your upperclassmen, you have to earn that, and he's done a great job in doing that.
Next, we have some transfers, Taj Price being the first. Is he going to be a big piece down low as well?
He has a chance to be. Taj is someone who, he's a graduate transfer, never got the time that he really wanted from his previous school. We sort of got a New Jersey connection with him and Hassan and Javon, and that's how we landed Taj. You know, he needs to continue to work on just understanding what we want. Physically, he's a little limited, but he can step out and shoot the basketball. He's a really good athlete, runs well, competes extremely hard, and as long as he continues to do that, he's going to be just fine.
Hassan Cisse is a Stony Brook transfer. How's he been doing?
He's done well, and Hassan's got an interesting story. You know, he suffered 2 ACLs, one late in his high school career, and then one right after the end of his freshman year, where he wasn't playing much as a freshman. His sophomore year, I think, was going to be a year where he really got into his role. That ACL on his other knee set him back, so he really hasn't played much in the last 2 years. Every day you see him getting a little more confident with his knee. He's a really good on-ball defender, and will turn into a really good off-the-ball defender, which is going to early on get him minutes. As he continues to get some rust off, he's a guy who can score the basketball in different ways, so we're excited for him, especially being able to have 3 years. We don't rarely get Division I transfers with that many years, and to have him in that role could be very big for us.
Even though he hasn't really played at the D1 level, just being there, that helps your game. How is that going to transfer over to the NAIA game?
I don't think there'll be anything that we can show him that he hasn't seen. He competed against really good players at Stony Brook. He was on a very good high school team that won multiple state championships. So he's never not seen competition. And that's really good, because sometimes guys come in not understanding what NAIA brings. And he's never been like that. He comes out every day ready to compete and has done a nice job.
Javon Jackson, another look at a New Jersey guard. What's he been like?
He's been good. He can shoot the ball. Right now, he's still working on his conditioning. He's one of the guys that the pandemic maybe wasn't the most kind to, but his IQ is very good. He plays hard. He can shoot it, pass it, is a good rebounder. Now we just got to get him in a little better shape, and whenever he does that, I think he can be special for us.
How's he going to help you in this such a packed Mid-South Conference?
Well, he can play multiple positions. Right now he's playing a little bit more of an undersized 4, but as he gets in better shape, can play the 3. What it does is it can make us play a bigger lineup and have some 6'4s all the way around. You know, Hassan 6'4", Braden 6'5", Sam Whining 6'3", AD 6'6", and they're all sort of interchangeable position-wise. So you can have some guys 2 through 4 that you can switch off defensively with and do some things offensively that I think can cause some problems.
Up next, we have 2 freshmen. First, we'll look at Lincoln Bush by George Rogers Clark High School. What have you seen from him?
A willingness to learn, get better. He knows he's redshirting this year, and he needs to get stronger. He understands that, and he's working extremely hard with that. Will be a 5-man, I think, for us, but a 5 that can step out and make some shots. As he gets stronger, he will continue to build off what he did in high school. Would score it well, but was one of the top 2 or 3 rebounders in the state last year. Not really athletic, but is just very crafty. Understands how positioning, how to get his body to the ball, which is very important. Played on a great high school team and has a chance after this year of getting stronger, having a good 4 years.
And what potentially do you see him and the success that he could have in those 4 years?
I think he can be a very good defender and rebounder, and having a freshman coming in next year after understanding it and being in the post, it's hard to get those high school posts. And having someone who can learn from the guys we have and build off of that will be very beneficial for us down the road.
Lastly, we have Ben Carroll, another true freshman. What do you see in him?
He's a specialist, can shoot the ball with a lot of range, and I think as he also continues to get bigger and stronger, he has good skill level, but right now is having a hard time understanding it's not translating from the high school to college. You can't do all the same things you did in high school. He will be able to, but it's going to be a year or two from now when he gets used to the speed and athleticism. But right now he can really shoot the ball, spread the floor, and that is always in today's game beneficial.
Another freshman, he has potential to be really good throughout his 4 years.
He does, and just like Link, we're going to redshirt him. It's something that he needs, and if he played this year, he might be able to get some spot minutes, but it's almost like a wasted year. So that's the reason we redshirt, and so he can really take advantage of those 4 years.
You mix in the transfers along with some high school kids. How do you mix those in?
It's tough. We've always wanted high school kids, but it's hard. For us to get high school kids that we think can really produce, we have to get guys that probably are good enough to play Division II or NCAA Division I. All of these guys are capable of doing those things. We just have to find the right ones, and getting those high school guys are big for our future. There's no doubt we got a steal in Braden Sebastian. And I think as the years go on, people see we got a steal in Lincoln Bush and Ben Carroll. The transfers, it's one of those you just got to build the right relationship with, figure out what went wrong at the other place, and just make sure that it can work here. And I think we've done a good job with that.
Let's look at the recruiting process for a moment. Tell me, how do you get all of these transfers?
It's tough. Sometimes you're lucky and word of mouth from coaches. Hassan Cisse was someone who I never talked to before. A coach at Stony Brook emailed me, and from there we sort of took off with it. There's a transfer portal where we can see everybody who transfers, and from there we normally get on the internet and watch film on them to see if they fit what we're trying to do. And that's how you see Javon and Ross. We saw what they did. They had good 2 years at their other schools and thought they'd fit in well with us. And then Taj is just, we had Jay and Hassan. Him and Hassan were actually high school teammates. So Hassan sort of took that one and ran with it. They talked for a while, we did for a while, and it's just sort of what we thought was a good match. And we always tell our guys they can be the best recruiters. They know good players, and they know what we're trying to bring in here. And if we can get the right kind of guys year in and year out, we'll continue to be successful.
You also bring in a lot of talent when it comes to Kentucky high school. Do you go watch them in person? What's the process?
We try to. It's tough. I mean, they want us to get to practices, but, we're practicing a lot of the time throughout the week at the same time they are. A lot of summer AAU, and that's where we saw Link. Ben was one that just sort of got onto our radar during the year last year. We've known about Braden for a while now. He was one that we were heavily on from day one. The other guys sort of came on later on, and that's just the way it goes. You find guys at different times. So this summer it was different, obviously pandemic, not much AAU going on. So it's sort of a slow process right now until hopefully they get up and going in Kentucky, but we'll continue to stay on those Kentucky guys.
We'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the returners with head coach Brent Vernon. You're following Tiger Nation Weekly. Welcome back to Tiger Nation Weekly. Our last segment here as we look at the returners of Tiger basketball. You bring back 8 players, 4 of them being seniors. That's a great group.
It is, and hearing the number 8 with returners is something you don't hear tons with us. So that's been a really big thing for us. I've been very impressed with them. Having 4 senior leadership guys that really want to do everything they can to go out the right way. You've seen that in practices. We just got to continue and hopefully carry that over to games.
So we'll go down through the returners as well. Sophomore Devontae Robinson, he got some action last season. He appeared in the 24 games, 6'3", 180. How do you plan on using him?
A lot of different ways this year. We're really looking for someone to sort of take the place of Ronald Taylor, and we think Devontae can be that guy. Right now, he's playing a little bit of 1 and 2, so the 1 is a different position from him. We like a bigger point guard, and it's something that he is very capable of doing, but it's going to take some time for him to get used to because it is a different position. But he's the one that we have to get through to him. Scoring is great, but it's not the only thing. He needs to take after what Ronald did and be the best defender. And we thought Ronald was as good as any defender in the league last year, always guarded the other opponent's best player. We got to league play last year, and he only averaged like 4 or 5 shots a game. But he played 37, 38 minutes a game because he was always guarding that guy. And we were looking for someone to take that role and think Devontae can do that.
So Devontae came in as a true freshman last year, and now you've seen him in preseason. How has he improved his game?
He's done a good job in the summer. He worked out a lot with his sister, who's a player at U of L, so they did a great job. He came back in ready to go. His shot has been better than what it was last year, and that just adds to it. He's physically strong and capable of getting to the rim, so just been very pleased with his progress from day one last year to where we are today.
Speaking on one of the seniors, Jacob King, he's been around for 4 years now. He's special. He averaged 7 points per game. He shot 39% from the floor and also 81% from the stripe. What are your thoughts on him?
Jake had a tough one last year, and I take as much blame for that as anybody. For whatever reason, we just weren't on the same page. I thought we were his freshman, sophomore year, and last year was just a hard year. And he's come back this year with the right mentality. Me and him had a hard conversation early, and he initiated it, and I appreciated it so much. But that shows the leadership we have. It shows how much he cares about our program and cares about making sure things are right this year. I really anticipate a big year for Jake. He's ready to go. He had a great offseason. He found ways to get things done in this tough time, and it's someone who I expect to step up and take on a huge role for us.
He's listed at 5'9", considered undersized for a guard. How does he get it done on the court?
Just heart and want. I mean, he doesn't ever see size, and that's the beauty about him. There's nothing he can't do in his eyes, and I think whenever people label you like that, that's how you have to treat it. Again, he's just somebody that wants it badly. I want it for him, and it's something that our guys are really going to rely on throughout the year.
Austin Davis, or AD, comes back for his senior year. He shot 40% from the floor and also from 3. What do you expect from the shooter this season?
A lot more than last year. That second year for transfers is always easier. The first year, they're trying to find their way. They're wanting to prove some things that they don't need to prove to us. The game has slowed down for him, but not enough. He needs to realize that every possession is key, but you don't have to make something happen every possession. He wants it about as bad as any player I've ever coached. And sometimes that can be a downfall, and that's where we're just trying to slow him down a little bit. Great athlete, great shooter. Last year became to where he was basically a specialist, and he'll still be that this year. But I expect him to broaden his game a little bit, and he's a good senior leader for us to have.
And he's also improved his game maybe defensively?
We're hoping, and that's something he really worked on this summer. That's the hardest part for him right now, is finding the right guy for him to guard. But the one thing you never know or never can question with AD is the effort he's going to put forth. Whether it's someone he can guard or not, he's going to do everything he can to make it hard on them, and that's all we're asking.
Lenoris Mincy is the lone big man coming back, and we talked about it before. You just seen him from game 1 to the end of the season. It was just an improvement all year.
And it's been that since the end of the year till today. He's not trying to do too much. Everybody last year tried to do a little bit more than they were capable of. And whenever you're struggling, that's what happens. The sense of urgency rises, and you're like, I got to go make a play for my team. And I don't think the trust was there all around last year, where I see so much more this year. He slowed down. His defensive knowledge of what we're doing is light years of where he was ever at any point last year, and that's great to see. He'll rebound it better. Offensively, his time will come, and he understands that. He just has to be patient, wait for it, and whenever he slows down, everything becomes easier for him.
He's very athletic, and he got it done pretty well last year in the Mid-South Conference defensively.
He did. He's very fast. He's an undersized post, but his speed really makes it hard on other post players, and I think that will be a big factor for us this year, is him being able to make it harder on those posts.
Sophomore Max Reyes enters his sophomore year. Tell me a little bit about him.
Had a great preseason. We've decided to redshirt Max, and it's nothing he did. But with the return of T.A.V. and Jake and moving Devontae around a little bit, the minutes were going to be a little harder to come by. But for Max, you've seen the game slow down for him in practices, and he's made us better in practices. He just has to use this year to continue to work on his body, get in a little better shape, and understand exactly the ins and outs of our offense. Last year, that's what he struggled with the most. At Casey County, where he played, he was called on to do everything. Score, create, make sure that the game was easier. For now, if he has the opportunity to score, he's not looking to shoot as much as he did last year. And I think that's really made the game easier. He's not pressing as much. His passing is what I expected now compared to where it was last year. And he's making the game easier for his teammates, which is what a point guard is supposed to do. So I'm excited for the future of Max and what he'll bring after this year.
And it's got to be nice to have two senior guards in Jacob King and T.A.V. Mason that he can just sit behind and learn from.
Absolutely, and he's got to be able to understand it and watch film and pick everybody's brain about what's going on out there just to make the game easier for him.
T.A.V. Mason, he's a key guard returning this season. He was your leading scorer with 13.5 points per game. He also grabbed 4.3 rebounds and dished off 3.6 assists. He got it done.
He did. Second team all-conference. He was our leader last year when it came to who performed the best night in and night out. What I would say he had to improve on, which I've seen a dramatic difference, was his leadership role on the floor. How are you going to handle adversity? And last year, it was a flip of a coin. Some nights he handled adversity well and stood up to the challenge, and other nights he sort of wilted. And me and him have talked about that. And until we get in games and things get hard, we won't see the true T.A.V. Have you learned from it? In practice, I see a huge difference. I see a guy who's more vocal, more encouraging, trying to get everybody on the same page. But in practice, you don't face the same diversity you do in games. So when we have that in a game, I'm eager to see if he can maintain his composure and get our team over the hump and calm down like he has been able to in practice.
One thing I was really impressed with last season is his will and how easy it is for him to get to the rim.
Yeah, he's extremely fast, and it's very hard for anyone to keep him in front. Last year, he had to get to the rim and try to do maybe too much finishing at the rim, and it's harder for guys his size, but he's pretty good at it, and we expect him to continue to do that. This year, you're seeing a different guy who is looking to go inside out more. He's getting to the rim, he's finding shooters, he's making the game easier, and I think this year you'll see a more balanced T.A.V. of picking and choosing the right time to get to the rim and try to finish, and the right time to get to the rim and kick to our shooters for a shot.
You can tell the freshman from now sophomore to junior, Sam Whining, the junior from Louisville, he's put on a lot of muscle.
He has. I mean, he had a hard time finding a gym to shoot basketball in, but he was in the weight room all summer. And Sam he understands it. He's maybe been as impressive as anybody this preseason. He understands that he could literally play the 2 through 5. And I know it's crazy saying 6'3" and being a 5, but he's strong enough and he does so much right. He can guard people like that. And it's a nice option to have. He can guard multiple positions. He can step out and shoot the basketball. He's trying to take his offensive game to the next level, and you'll see him deck it a little bit more than he has in the past. And if he can just continue to improve, you'll see big things from him. He's the one guy that I can say day in and day out, you never have to question. He brings it every day. He's our most consistent practice player. He practices the hardest every day, and he sets a great example for our team.
Lastly is Nolan Barrow. He really is a nice guy to have around.
He is, and Nolan made the tough decision, I think, but he made the decision to just do varsity this year. He's been a member of our JV and varsity team the last 2 years and was the leading scorer at JV, so it was a tough loss for Coach Clement there. But Nolan's been great in practices. He's a guy that I have no issue throwing him out there and giving him some minutes. And as he continues to work, you could easily see him out there in a spot that, not just maybe foul trouble, but in a big spot because he's earned that right. He may not be as good as the guards in front of him right now, but I feel like we're pretty deep at the guard spot. He can make shots. He's a hard cover because he never stops moving. With the ball, without the ball, he's always moving. Defensively, sometimes it's a struggle, but you can't ever say he doesn't put everything he has into it to make it so hard defensively for his opponent. So he's one that you may see out there some this year, and he's earned everything he'll get.
Tomorrow you go up against Kentucky Christian to start the season. Are you all ready?
No, but I don't know if anybody is at this time. You take the the week we had off a couple weeks ago, it did set us back, but we'll never make excuses about that. It's November though, and it's a long season, but we have to be ready for tomorrow. That, you just take it a day at a time. We don't care what the score is. We just want to get a win somehow. Find a way to get it done and move on to the next game, and hope during that process you get better game by game. Don't know much about Kentucky Christian. They returned 3 players that averaged some pretty good numbers, and they basically have a whole new team after that. So we're going in a little bit blind. Don't know how they'll play with this new group, but we've got new players too, and people don't know us. So we're going to go out there and put our best foot forward and hopefully come away with a win.
The ways to win. What are some of your keys to victory for tomorrow?
You got to take care of the basketball. That's been a little bit of a concern in preseason, and I think a lot of it is just rust. We have good enough guards where we got to take care of the ball better than we have. One of the big issues I have for us to be as good as we need to be is we have to rebound the ball better, and it's a team effort. You talked about T.A.V. last year as a point guard averaging 4 rebounds a game. He can defensive rebound with anybody because a lot of times his man is releasing to the other end. So he's got to help us. Every guard has to help us. If we can take care of the ball and rebound it, I do like our chances about every game. Defensively, we're a work in progress. We're going to continue to get better, but we have to take care of those 2 things first.
So we're going to step away from basketball real quick. We're in the midst of a global pandemic. Did you get to golf any this summer?
Golfed some, not as much as I'd like to. Back issues, older. My back's older than my body, I guess, or my age. But I did get to go out some. I played with my son, my brother, my dad. Having them around to do that is always fun. When I wasn't there, though, I was at least getting to watch my son play, which was always very fun to do. So, yeah, we got to enjoy that. You
have Bryce and Jaylee, your 2 kids, and they're the 2 biggest CU fans out there. What's it like to have kids so involved with the team?
It's awesome. I mean, they ask me every day about practice and who's doing good and who's going to do this and that. It's a little different now because they're both at that age where they're playing middle school basketball, so they're not around as much, and it drives them crazy. And it's harder on me. I miss seeing them in the gym during practices. Do everything I can to get to all their games, and it's fun to do that. But with no fans, it's going to be even harder. I know they're going to be watching all the games on TV, and when I get home, we'll be talking about it for probably an hour. But it's great having them around, having Jamie there, because they see things that I don't see. And Bryce and Jaylee, during the summer and even once we got back, I was going back and watching some old game film, and things I don't notice as a coach. All of a sudden you go back and watch game film and you see things that you all have caught on camera of them celebrating in the stands and stuff like that, and you get to see the innocence. So it's so fun to see that. It'll be hard not seeing it this year, but hopefully again, second semester they'll be back.
So let's talk a little bit more about your family. Your assistant coach is your brother, Mark. How important is he to the team?
Incredibly. The day I was hired, I talked to him thinking I had a chance for the job, and we had discussed it. But, I think he thought about it, but I need to wait to see if he gets it. That was the first call I made to offer the job, and it's somebody that I felt I needed. He's been around the league a long time. It's good to have him because we see basketball the same, but we're different, so we have different views on it. We get along great. I'm just blessed to have a great staff, and obviously Mark's just one of those guys. But it's very fun to have it. Whenever we have success, we get to enjoy it together. So it's very fun to have.
And what all, say, is he in charge of on the team? Does he help with recruiting, game plan, stuff like that?
Well, when I talked about my staff, it's crazy because I don't think anybody has one particular job. It's a collective effort. When I talk about me, Mark, Darius, and Hagan, we're all recruiting. We're all scouting, game planning. Darius and Hagan, they do all of our individual work. Me and Mark on that side of things. If they need us to rebound or pass, we're helping. But they do such a good job with that, we let them roll with that. So it's really everybody's doing their own part and working together within. And I think that's what makes us our coaching staff relationship as good as it is, because we all trust each other, and it makes our job much easier.
The last thing I'm going to hit on, you're a big Braves and Falcons fan. Last Thursday night, though, the Falcons got it done.
It's the first time they finished one all year. It seems like they're the team that loves to lose it in the end, and I guess you could say that about the Braves too. Had a good year. Should have made the World Series, and who would have known what would have happened? But that's how sport teams are. You live with them, you die with them, and lately been dying with them.
Well, Coach, good luck tomorrow and go get us a win.
Appreciate it, Zach.
That's been head coach Brent Vernon, and that's going to wrap up our Tiger Nation Weekly episode. We go back to Green River next week as we feature women's cross country. You've been following Tiger Nation Weekly.
Here comes Campbellsville. King back to Adams. What a two-handed club.
Makes 2 miss, and she finishes. Score from third. He's going to sliding safe.